Our next system is the skeletal system, and our skeleton has 5 main functions. First, it provides support for the body. It's going to protect our internal organs, especially using the ribs and the skull. It's going to aid in movement. Muscles need to pull against something, and this is going to be the solid structure they can pull against. It's going to serve as a storage area for minerals, including calcium, and it's going to produce blood cells, red and white blood cells. If we look at the skeletal system, we can break it up into a couple main parts. First, there's the cartilage. Cartilage is a little softer than hard bone, and it protects the ends of the bones from degrading. Anywhere where you have a joint, if bones were to rub against each other, they would physically wear each other away. So instead, we have this slightly softer cartilage anywhere where bones might wear against each other. It also helps facilitate movement, so again in joints we have this cartilage so that bones can rotate. The next part of the skeletal system are the bones. We have 206, some of us have 207, 208, depends on your tailbone and if you've got an extra little vertebrae or two there. Bones are going to be held in place by ligaments and moved by muscles. So bones can be classified as part of the axial skeleton. These are the bones that make up the trunk, your spine, your skull, and your ribs. Or bones can be part of the appendicular skeleton. These are your appendages, your arms, your legs, and your hips. So the axial skeleton right here is going to be more involved in protection and basic support, and the appendicular skeleton, hips and legs, that's going to be involved primarily in movement. Bone is really interesting tissue. It's a compromise between being hard enough to be strong, but also light enough that you can get up and actually walk around. So if we look at the different parts of the bone, there is spongy bone. This is the strong, lightweight inner core of the bone. And notice it's got lots of pores in it. This is so that it's not quite so heavy. Compact bone is the hard outer layer, and this is what's going to really create the strength of the bone. The bone marrow, this is this internal part of the bone tissue. This is going to store some fat, and very importantly, this is the area where your red and white blood cells are going to be produced, primarily in the femur, the large bone in your upper leg. Notice that there's a system of blood vessels moving through the bone. Bone is living tissue, and so it's going to need glucose and oxygen brought to it and waste taken away, and so you're going to have blood vessels moving through that bone marrow and through that spongy bone. I think everyone knows that calcium is related to bones. Bones are the calcium reserve for the body. And I think most of us think, well, calcium is used to build bones. And yes, that's true. But we actually use calcium for a lot of other things in the body. It's going to be important in blood clotting. It helps muscles contract. It helps nerve impulses and can act as coenzymes in enzyme activity. So not only do the bones need calcium for their physical structure, but it turns out they're a great way for us to store calcium for other chemical reactions. There are some different kinds of cells in our bones. Osteoblasts are going to build up bone, and osteoclasts are going to break down bone. And so when you want to release some calcium into the blood, you're going to use your osteoclasts. When you want to build up bone, you're going to use your osteoblasts. It turns out that we're really good at building up bone and storing calcium until our early 20s. Then after that, we don't store as much calcium in our bones. Instead, we continue to use the calcium we get from our food, or we take calcium out of our bones without replacing it. Some of you may have heard of osteoporosis. This is what happens to elderly people in their hips especially. You can see what the spongy bone tissue looks like as we continue to pour more and more calcium out. And you hear about little old ladies falling over and breaking their hip. If you or I fall down and our bone looks like this, it's not going to break. But if it looks like this bone just isn't strong enough and it can break much more easily. So it's important to consume plenty of calcium when you're young, and then also make sure that you have regular calcium in your diet so that your body doesn't have to take it out of your bone.